Hello everyone and welcome back to Catherine's Plates, where it's always simply delicious. Today I'm going to show you how to make cheesy pork chops and potato casserole. You can't beat these flavors. They are so delicious. It's simple ingredients that you can pull out of your pantry. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Now what we're going to do first off is I'm just using a mandolin that I have, and I'm going to put it on the lowest setting. You want to cut some potatoes very thin. Now I'm using red potatoes because they're a firmer potato and they'll hold up better in the casserole. Now you can use russet potatoes if you want, but they may get a little mushy, but if you have them, you can use them. So I've already scrubbed off my potatoes and got them nice and dry. You can either use your little guard to hold the potato, or you can get some gloves that are meant to be used when you're using a mandolin. These are medium potatoes, and we're going to use about 5 or 6 of them. It depends on how many I can make with these. Now I'm leaving the skins on them. The skins are really delicious, adds flavor, and adds a nice color to the dish. Now if you have a mandolin like this, I'm just using the number 2. You can see that right there. Yeah, very thin. So if you're using a regular knife, just make sure that you cut them very thin like that, probably 1/8 of an inch. This is going to fit into a 9 by 13, so we want to make sure we have enough, which it looks like that's enough right there. I've got 4 people to feed, so this should be plenty. Now you can find these gloves on my link down below in the description box, or you can find them on Amazon. Okay, what we're going to do is in a large skillet, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to put this on medium-high heat. I'm going to let this melt. Now I'm frying the potatoes just to kind of give them some flavor with the butter, and also kind of cook them up just a little bit before we put them in the oven. Because you know, anytime you cook potatoes in the oven, they take a while. So I'm just going to crisp them up a little bit. This will help them not stick together also in your baking dish. All right, once it starts sizzling, we're going to go ahead now and add the potatoes. I'm going to try to get these into one layer as much as I can. We're going to be flipping these around just for a few minutes. I have 2 yellow onions. I'm going to go ahead and chop those up. And while that's happening, I'm going to continue to stir up the potatoes. I'm not trying to cook the potatoes all the way through. Just give a little crispness on the ends and some flavor, because they're going to be on the bottom of our baking dish. Let's go ahead and cut this one. I'm just taking the ends off of the onions. Taking that outer layer off. Just going to cut them in half. Thin slices. And then I'm going to add them to the potatoes. All right, we're going to stir this around. I'm going to go ahead and season with a little bit of salt. Help flavor this. And some pepper. All right, I'm going to add in just a little sprinkling of some garlic powder. Those are frying up really good. Some nice crispness to them, some browning going on, and that's really good. All right, let's talk about our pork chops. Now these are pretty thick pork chops, about 1/2 inch. So what we're going to do is season these. Always pick the wrong one. I'm going to season the tops of these with some salt. This is your flavor. Some black pepper. Sprinkling of some garlic powder, just lightly. Some onion powder. Keep an eye on your potatoes and onions. We're going to turn off the heat right now. And we got some paprika. We'll give it a nice color. Just sprinkle it on top. All right, we're going to flip these over and season the other side. You can definitely tell how thick those are. That's what we're looking for. Now these are boneless. All right, some salt, black pepper, some onion powder, garlic powder, and paprika. All right, we're going to bring a 9 by 13 baking dish over. We're going to spray it with some nonstick cooking spray. That'll help the potatoes, onions, the pork chops, and everything from sticking. All right, we're going to take the potatoes and onions that we kind of fried up and place them into the bottom of the baking dish. Ooh, look at the color of those. That's why I do this. Nice flavor locked into those potatoes and onions. I'm just going to evenly spread this out. All right, I'm going to set this aside and bring over the pork chops. Right, we're going to put our skillet back onto a medium-high heat. If it's not there yet, I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon or so of cooking oil. Now I love the avocado oil. Nice good cooking oil. All right, now we want to brown the pork chops, so you want to make sure that your oil is nice and hot in your skillet. So it's already hot anyway, and it's starting to sizzle what was in there from the onions and the potatoes. It's nice and hot. So I'm going to take the pork chop and start laying them in a single layer. Now we're going to let them sear in here for a few minutes until they get nice and golden brown on the bottom side, and then we're going to flip them over. We're not cooking these all the way through. Ooh, look at that color. Perfect. Right, a few more minutes on the back side to get a nice color on them. If you need to add any more oil or butter, go ahead and do that so you don't burn your food in the pan there. There we go. Another 2 to 3 minutes. All right, take a peek at them every so often. You don't want to burn them. That looks good. Go ahead and turn the burner off. We're done with it. Now you're just going to layer your pork chops in a single layer on the potatoes and the onions. Just kind of nestle them in there. Okay, we're going to set this aside and just bring over a medium bowl. I have a whisk and I have 2 cans of soup. I have a cream of chicken soup and a cream of celery, or you can use 2 creams of chicken if you don't like the celery. If you want to put a can of cream of mushroom in there, you can also. Just use 2 cans of any of the cream of soups. All right, we're going to put that into our medium bowl. All right, I'm going to fill one up with milk, so it'll be 10 ounces. I'm just going to stir this, get that excess out of there, and pour it into the other can. Stir that up, and then just add that to the soups. We're going to whisk this together. As we're doing that, I'm going to start adding some flavor to it. Some garlic powder, onion powder, not the salt, just the onion powder, some black pepper, and some salt. All right, we're going to pour this over our pork chops, potatoes, and onions. All right, spread this evenly to coat everything. Push the potatoes down in there. We want them covered so they cook. You want to make sure your pork chops are hidden. You want to make sure that soup is down in the potatoes and the onions. Get some good flavor going on in there. All right, I'm going to place this in the oven that's been preheating at 400 degrees for 30 minutes. Then I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to add about a half a cup to 3/4 cup of shredded cheddar cheese on top. Place it back in the oven for another 30 minutes. We're looking for that cheese to be nice and golden brown on top, those potatoes to be nice and tender, and the pork chops to be cooked through and tender also. I'll be back. Okay, I've let it rest for about 5 to 7 minutes. Now, about 10 minutes before it pulled out of the oven, I put some foil over it to keep the cheese from, getting really dark. And then let it sit out on the counter for about 7 minutes or so, just to kind of pull itself together. So now I'm going in. Look how beautiful this looks. I'm just going to cut down here through the potatoes. I got a pork chop right there. Look at that. Get some extra potatoes here. Okay, there is my cheesy pork chop and potato casserole. What do y'all think? I'm going to cut up a piece for you of that pork chop, and I'm going to taste everything. Oh, it's nice and tender. Look at that bite right there. Okay, that's not a bite. That is our bite. Nice and cooked through and tender. I bet it's juicy too. Let's give it a try. Definitely tender, very flavorful. Just going for those potatoes. Those potatoes are very creamy, very flavorful too. They held their shape. Look at how nice those look. All right, give me a thumbs up on this one, you guys. Make sure you comment down below. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification. That way, you'll always know when shows like this one here are posted. I'll see y'all on the next episode.